بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Alhamdulillah, last week we discussed the tafsir of some of the selected ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah, starting from لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ until ayah number 186, I guess. So we talk about the meaning of al-birr and also the reason why this ayah is revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. And also we talk about the pillars, the articles of faith. I believe we discussed the issue of Iman Billah, wal Malaika, wal Kutub, wal Nabiyyin. Right, inshallah. So today we'll move on to the next article, which is the pillar of the Day of Judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ مِن قِبَلِ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ وَآتَى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا until the end of the ayah. So Allah says, وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. يوم الآخر is the last day in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to judge everyone. But before this day, there are certain signs mentioned by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam which are to be seen before the Day of Judgment arrives. We call them Ashrat al-Sa'ah. These signs are divided into two categories by the scholars, major and the minor. So according to the statement of some scholars, also if we are to be realistic, based on the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, you will find that the vast majority of these signs of the Day of Judgment already happened. The minor signs of the Day of Judgment. And there are a lot, there are so many, such as the promiscuity that you see in society, the chaos, fitan, and on, many. And some of these signs of the Day of Judgment, when you see them, you will remember that which is said by the Prophet ﷺ. And honestly speaking, some of the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ, when you read them, and then you come and see what is happening nowadays, and as if the Prophet ﷺ was around us, and he sees what happened and then he talks about it. So, if not the chain is authentic, a person won't be. And it comes to us through, it means that we don't have any doubt in it. So as such, we just have to say yes, to believe in the Prophet ﷺ, to be the one who said and prophesied the occurrence, and they happen in the way the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. Wajid in his book, Ashrat al-Sa'ah fi al-Fitan wal-Malahim wa Ashrat al-Sa'ah, Ithaf al-Jama'ah fi al-Fitan wal-Malahim wa Ashrat al-Sa'ah. He mentioned, he says, sometimes you see some signs of the Day of Judgment, which the hadith mentioned. And unfortunately, the chain of narration of that hadith is weak. But then you will see the thing taking place precisely in the way it is mentioned. The hadith was there 1,000 years ago. It says, مما يدل على أن لتلك الأحاديث أصلاً. So the chain is weak, because when the chain is weak, it doesn't necessarily the Prophet ﷺ did not say it, but since we have a doubt in it, we stay away from it. But then they come into existence, they happen in the way the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. So a person should know about them. We really need to know about the signs of the Day of Judgment with benefits, so that he will know how to stay away from the evil ones. Because the sign of the Day of Judgment not necessarily be evil. It will not necessarily be evil. So when it happens, you know how to stay away from it. That's the benefit of learning about them. And try as much as you can, don't you ever be part of the sign of the Day of Judgment, the evil ones. And that's the message to who? To the sisters. Those one who decide to choose the way of liberalism. And also freedom. to do without the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they should understand that they are nothing but sign of a day of judgment. When a sister walks without a proper hijab, when people see her, they remember what? Day of judgment. Those people who are living in villages where you don't see this kind of nakedness, when they come to the city, how is the reaction? They remember a sign of the day of judgment. And it's true, the Prophet ﷺ said, Sinfani min ahli nar lam arahuma. Said two types of people are going to hell both. He says, I do not see them. Alhamdulillah. Prophet ﷺ left without seeing them. Sinfani min ahli nar lam arahuma. He says, he mentioned the first category, these are the qawmun ma'hum asiyatun ka'adnab al-baqar yadribuna biha an-nas. The scholar said these are the likeliness of the injustice and the violence, oppressors, whether they are from the police or they are from the authority. They take their sticks and they beat people with it. You get it? So that's the sample of injustice where you can't do anything. The Prophet ﷺ said they're going to hell for sure, because that's full injustice. What did you do to deserve that? There's the situation we're living in nowadays. The criminal is okay. The good ones, they're in trouble in some places. There's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve us. He says, وَنِسَاءٌ كَاسِيَاتٌ عَالِيَاتٌ مَائِلَاتٌ مُمِيلَاتٌ رؤوسهن كأسلمة البخت المائلة. He says there are sisters also that will come before the day of judgment. كاسيات عاريات. Although they wear clothes, but they are naked. Why is that? Because they don't wear it properly. Look at the hijab nowadays. Seriously. They will tell you, no, the scholar said only face could be exposed. No need to cover the face. No problem. But now نحن نطالب بتغطية الجسد على الوجهين على الوجه واليدين والكفين. Now we just want the sisters at least, okay, don't cover the face, no problem. But cover everything, just leave the face and the hand. You get it? When did you ever see a sister who maintained this opinion, which she believes it to be the correct one? Okay, I was given a lecture. I told them, I'm not talking about niqab or anything, but what is it wajib for a woman to do? They all agree that everything should be covered except face and hand. And now the next question. Who is that who is doing this amongst you? Zero. Do you get an idea? So, this is a sign of the day of judgment. Nisa'ul kasiyatun ariyat. We already know. You don't need me to tell you how it is. You already know. You live in the middle of that, right? So you have also this style, the hijab, the scarf, right? See through. This is nothing but the beautification. Get it? You can see that which is inside the hair is there exposed. So that's what you call the fabric is very light. So another side. Kasiyatun aliyat. Prophet ﷺ said, Ma'ilatun mubilat. So either you take it physically the way they walk. Some people may like that. Or you take it in the way many scholars understood it to be interpreted. They said they are in the wrong direction. They are misguided and they misguide others also. Is that true? Yes. And they take the aql of the brothers. رؤوسهن كأسنمة البخت المائلة. So the heads looks like the humps of the camels, which is bent. What is that? Scholar said this is when they have the hair, they put it in one place, especially when it's on top. So it goes up. So it's like she has two heads. Some said any kind of combination of hair that sister will put it, whether in top or behind, which will make an extra hair. Because this is exactly what showing the aura means. Because if a person sees it, you see the hair, they know the size of the hair. And the sisters do it actually to attract the one who's looking for that. So these are all part of that which is mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ as a sign of the Day of Judgment. Does this happen? Yes. You go out, you see this. You go to school, you see this. You go to, well, in your house also you see this. They have the, what do you call, the TV, there's the internet. Whether you go out, even if you don't go, also they have the way to reach you there. So we have to be very careful, especially those people who are living in the place where Iman is tested. Get it? You have a place with the non-Muslims, you have all kinds of this type of people, and there is what you call the thing they put water in, swimming pool. And your children always come out and watch, right? And tomorrow you tell him haram. Which haram you take now? So I don't say pack your things and leave the place, but be very careful, right? And watch over your children if you're in that place. If it is not necessary, apply that which is mentioned by Ibn al-Qawi when he says فَكُنْ حِلْسَ بَيْتٍ فَهُوَ سِتْرٌ لِعَوْرَةٍ وَحِرْزٌ الْفَتَى عَنْ كُلِّ غَابٍ وَمُفْسِدٍ. Stay home if there is no need for you to go out. Stay home. He says فَهُوَ سِتْرٌ لِعَوْرَةٍ. It will protect your aura, and also it will protect you from evil attitude and deviation that you may see out of the community. قَالَ لَا يَدْخُلْنَ الْجَنَّةِ. So that kind of harm is impermissible. You also, you have to watch over your family and make sure that you explain to them. It's good to have that attitude, which some sisters do. You don't even know whether she has a hair or not. But being a woman, she has. Right? So what do they do? Sometimes some sisters say, no, it's so itchy. When they put the hair back, they say the itch. In this dunya, almost nobody is wearing just directly the clothes. You have the vest inside, right? Wear the vest. Let the hair goes behind the vest, and then they will open for you another door. So when you close this one, they will tell you another one. That's the best thing to be done. Let it go down. Khalas. You go out of all of them, and then you don't invite anyone. Wallah, very, very, very disturbing situation nowadays when you read the news. Read the news and see. Every day you see this kind of thing. Out of 1,000, I think I'm not exaggerating if I say 990, I would say 95 or 99, of those people who are getting into trouble on a daily basis are women. And what the trouble they are in is all these things that we're talking about. This one is raped, this one is raped and killed, this one is... Before you hear about the brothers, you hear about the sisters. And still they insist. They have to go. They have their own freedom and they have to do whatever they want. So we have to be very careful. We the Muslims understand religion properly, and also don't you ever be deceived by that which is said by the enemies of Islam. And read the history and see what is the plot, the real plot of an enemy of Islam against Islam. They come through this angle. Right? Do you get an idea? They come through this angle. They know that if they come through this angle of the woman, the person tends to be lost. And they will succeed. And this is exactly what happened. We have read a lot. There is a book which I invite those who can read Arabic about, and those who cannot make Tawbah and start learning Arabic language, called At-tadhkirah, written by Dr. Ismail Muqaddam, 3 volumes. I have never, maybe you, but I have never come across a book that talks about the issues of a woman concerning the hijab and preservation of the honor like this one. First volume, you see the history of a woman from day one. And the man did a nice job because he got the history from every country, the status of a woman, and then come and make the comparison between Islam and it's very interesting comparison mentioned by that person. So I really invite you to read it. Inshallah, we will come out of it with a great knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ said, "La yadkhulna al-jannah." And there is one hadith which I found some scholars, like Sheikh Nasir and others, They apply it in the way very, very excellent and scary also at the same time. The Prophet ﷺ said, a time will come, a person will come with his rahila. Rahila means a ride, something that you ride. And they will be sitting, you get it, on a very soft seat. Okay, he called them very soft, the Prophet ﷺ. He said, and then they will come and park them next to the masajid. And then you will see a woman comes out of it, kasiyat aliyat. Sheikh Nasruddin says there is no application for this except the cars we have nowadays. Those fancy cars, and then when they open, the car is so nice, mashallah. But who comes out of it? Wallahi, when you look at it, you will say, most likely this is, yes, true. Because he says they will come out of it and the thing is so soft. The way the place they sit in is so soft. Get it? And you see the one who comes out of it is somebody who is kasiyat ariyat. The sign of the day of judgment. Do we see that? Whether this is the application of the hadith or not, but we have seen this type of things. And nowadays this is actually what they have, right? Those rich people, they make sure they do what? They marry the best. You can see a person, maybe you might not see somebody who looks like him. In terms of, you know what I'm talking about. But because he is rich, his wife is what? MashaAllah, extremely beautiful. That's good. We are not jealous of that. But what is the reason why he's making that? They will buy the expensive car. They have this also trend. What does that mean? He is proud of the wealth and the car, and also the wife, he put her in the next to him, the first seat, so that people can see, to show that he has a complete life. Sign of the day of judgment. But he doesn't understand. This is exactly a sign of the day of judgment. قال لا يدخلن الجنة ولا يجدن ريحها. They will never make it to paradise, and they will never smell paradise. They will never go to paradise, and they will not even smell the fragrance of paradise. Although 40 years before you reach paradise, you can smell the fragrance. But these ones, they will never get it. It's a very serious matter, and as such, I really advise you, and whoever can get this message, be very, very, very strict and serious concerning the hijab. Let your daughters from the beginning, from childhood, let them get familiar with the hijab. Wallahi, don't listen to anything that people are saying. I remember one of the great scholars, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show mercy upon him, he was saying, if a girl reaches 7, then she should wear the full hijab. People are stuck. What kind of mentality is this? But then we have seen with our own eyes, girls at that age or even lower than that, being missing, and when they found them, they found somebody did something with them. So what are you talking about? And when you read the old books of the scholars, they will tell you as-saghiratu allati la tushtaha, right? The young girl that nobody had desire in it. Do we have this in this time? No. So when that person is saying they should start wearing hijab, of course with them pressure in the way you pressure the big one. Teach them at least at that age. Let her get familiar with this slowly, 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 slowly. And especially when you train them at the younger age, they will grow up thinking that this is how they should dress. Not like afterwards, and then you bring her trying to change that mentality. Well, it will never work. You have to make sure that you do that, because this is the great responsibility. And cheating in that responsibility, and I am sending this message to those people who are parents and those people who are coming, inshallah, in the future. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. It's a great responsibility. The Prophet ﷺ said, مَا مِنْ رَاعٍ يَسْتَرْعِيهِ اللَّهُ رَعِيَّةً يموت يوم يموت هو غاش لرعيته إلا حرم الله عليه الجنة. There will be no ra'i, somebody who is supposed to take care of a child, children, or leadership, or whatever kind of leadership, is the ra'is and whoever. If he cheats, let himself to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a cheater. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إلا حرم الله عليه الجنة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make Jannah haram upon him. So these are minor signs of the judgment. A lot, a lot, a lot. I'm telling you, a lot. We're living in them, in the middle of them. And most likely, wallahu alam, those that did not happen among those mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, they will take place with the major one. Like what? Like the disappearance of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said, Yusra ala kitabillahi fi layla. The hadith of Ibn Mas'ud. We will lose it. Why? Because people are so evil in those days. They don't deserve to be with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will take it off. This one is going to be in the last few days left for this dunya to finish. Do you get it? But other than those in general mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ to be taking place with the major sign, almost everything happened. This abortion that you see nowadays happened. One of the hadiths, Abu Hurairah, or one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, he said a time will come, they will take a woman and open the womb and bring the child because they don't want the child. And in those days they were just, okay, how is it going to happen? Nowadays, every day, how many children are killed on a daily basis? Do you get an idea? So we have seen all of these things. We should be awake more than the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. As for the major signs of the Day of Judgment, there are around 10. The first one is Mahdi. And when we say Mahdi, we're talking about Muhammad ibn Abdullah or Ahmad ibn Abdullah, the real Mahdi. We have a real person called Mahdi, one of the descendants of the Prophet ﷺ, and he will come as a just ruler, and he will fix the world. All of these stupidities that you see taking place, when he comes, he will wage war against the evil. That's his job, and he will succeed. Get it? And he got enemy from all directions, because we have enemy from Islam. We call them what? Enemy within. And these are the worst enemies. Wallahi, I'm telling you, the worst enemy is somebody who is claiming Islam, but his plan is to destroy Islam from inside. You get it? Worse than those non-Muslims and all who decide to be the enemy of Islam. Worse than them, because you already know that this is your enemy. But somebody who is with you, but the plot is to destroy Islam from inside, we do have them. So Mahdi, when he comes, he will cleanse the society from all of these evil, from any direction, and he will win. Get it? Long story mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, and his arrival is a fact. We believe in that. But as I said, we don't believe in khayal. Khayal means those khurafa, that some people believe that there is somebody who lived almost 1,000 something years ago and still hiding, get it, in the hole of a lizard. We don't have that. We have somebody who will come, whether he's created now, he's not created, but the Prophet ﷺ explained to us his features. So before Mahdi goes, Dajjal is going to be released. And Dajjal is still alive. We do believe in that. Although we have some great scholars, they have that in the hadith of Al-Jassasa in particular, but we do believe in that. The hadith is authentic, so in Muslim it is authentic. There is no wabar on it. That Tamim al-Dari saw a Dajjal. We live in that. Sometimes going deep into those kind of mentions by the Prophet ﷺ will lead a person to lose the right way. He says he saw it, he saw him. He doesn't even know who was that. But the Prophet ﷺ confirmed that this is Dajjal. What does that mean? He is Dajjal. Since when was he there? Allah. You get it? But we just believe in that. Yes. We believe that Dajjal will come. And we believe in the hadith of Tamim al-Dari, that he saw him, and the Prophet ﷺ confirmed with that. And he told people also, listen to what Tamim al-Dari said. He narrated the story to them. Okay. So the Dajjal is there. He will come, and he is the worst. The Prophet ﷺ said, فَالشَّرُّ غَائِبٍ يُنْتَظَرُ. The worst person you're waiting for is Dajjal. The worst awaited person is Dajjal. I mean, you're waiting for so many things, but the worst thing that you're waiting for, which will come, is Dajjal. There is nothing worse than Dajjal. The Prophet ﷺ said, from the time the dunya was created until the time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inherit this life, people will never see a trial worse than the trial of Dajjal. In this dunya, there isn't. In the akhirah, of course, Dajjal is useless. Starting from the grave, actually, Dajjal is useless. But in this dunya, you are alive to see something which is worse than Dajjal? No. Why is it so bad? Because it deals with Iman. And whatever calamity that takes your Iman, this is the worst type of calamity that affects you. So that's Dajjal. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned his features. So I don't want to go into much detail about it because we already know. But we should know that Dajjal is not an idea. Dajjal is not an abstract. Dajjal is not just an image. Dajjal is not an attitude or a mindset of an organization or an idea mentioned by some of the speakers you might come across nowadays, saying that Dajjal is nothing, is not a human being. You get it? There are some people who are speaking about the sign of the Day of Judgment, they mess everything up. So Dajjal is human being. Some people said, I think one of their opinion is nothing but the television you have at home. The Dajjal referred to by the Prophet ﷺ, according to this fatwa of Fadilatu. He said Dajjal is nothing but the television at home. What is the connection between television and Dajjal? Because he believes that Dajjal has one eye. That's why until now when they give you the sign of Dajjal, they have one big eye, right? They call him Dajjal. So he said television also, the TV has one eye. Have you seen the TV? Yes, one eye, right? One eye. Just pretend you understand that it is an eye and say yes, it's one eye. He said because television brings evil, right? He calls it Dajjal. So when those qanawat, the new qanawat, I don't know how it's Masjid now, but when Masjid was first established, it's all Quran and lectures, Quran and lectures, Quran and lectures. I wish I could meet him now and ask him, does Dajjal convert to Islam or what? Because they have nothing but Quran, 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 no advertisement. Even after they bring advertisement, you cannot see sisters. Even the hijabi and the niqabi one also doesn't come. So I don't know whether he will change his photo or what. You get it? They have all types of explanation about Dajjal not to be a human being. But the Prophet ﷺ rejects indirectly all of those assumptions and what you call, I don't know, to call them stupid interpretation or what? Allahu Alam, because they go against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, and also tell me after this narration of the Prophet ﷺ, how did you conclude that Dajjal has one eye? He says, يُكْتَبُ بَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ. He says عَيْنَيْهِ, right? Anyone who learned Arabic, عَيْنَيْهِ means what? One or two eyes. Two eyes. Unless if you will borrow from the Christian, because even three things also is only one. He says, يُكْتَبُ بَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ. It is written between his two eyes, كَفَرَ يَقْرَأُهُ كُلُّ مُسْلِمٍ. Somebody who is a literate or illiterate, somebody who can read or cannot read, they will read that one. Even if he doesn't know how to read, but he will read that. As long as Iman is there. He says between his two eyes. And even this one is messed up by them. Even this written, they say when the Prophet ﷺ said everyone can read it as long as he's Muslim, that means it's not something physical. Just something in the heart. They will never let the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ go smoothly. So he says two eyes, right? One of them is completely gone, white, and the other one has all of the components of an eye, but it is also bad. He said that the eyes is like it's going to fall down. Both are deficient. So he has deficiency here, deficiency there. This one he doesn't see with it completely, and the other one he sees but deficiently. So if you're talking about deficiency, is the thing that causes you to conclude with one eye, then you should say there is no eye actually, if the Dajjal has no eye, because both are deficient. So the Prophet ﷺ described him. He said, Hajj. He said, Hajj is somebody who has gap between the two legs. You know, the legs are usually connected to each other, right? His one is like that. There is a space like this. So you see the way the Prophet ﷺ described him, right? Is what? Humankind. So that's Dajjal. That's Dajjal. And he will come from the place the Prophet ﷺ said, if I'm not mistaken, min At-tadhkirah. يَتْبَعُهُ سَبْعُونَ أَلْفٍ مِنْ يَهُودِ أَصْبُهَانَ. He says 70,000 from Asbuhan, now is in Iran, right? He says 70,000 from the Jewish of Asbuhan will be following him. But somebody says, okay, we believe in that. He will come from that place, and also these followers that are mentioned by the Prophet will be following him. But somebody says he knows where the Dajjal is. Yes. I was waiting for him to mention the hadith of the Prophet that he's coming from Asbahan. Then we will create another question, right? But at least he's going somehow in the right way. He says no, he knows. Where is the Dajjal according to him? In the UK. Well, these are his words. He said in the UK. And he mentioned one of the islands I forgot. Alhamdulillah, I forgot. So what makes it more interesting is he says, I am the only one who has this knowledge. Say, Alhamdulillah, you are the only one who has it. So what I want from all of this mention is we just have to trust the Prophet ﷺ and take the mention of the Prophet ﷺ literally. If the Prophet ﷺ wants you to understand something against the literal meaning, the Prophet ﷺ will inform you. But when he says this, you will understand. The Prophet ﷺ believes that the Dajjal is human being. That's why he thought Ibn Sayyad, who was in Medina, is the Dajjal. What does that mean? The belief of the Prophet ﷺ that Dajjal is humankind. Do you get an idea? So he says he used to believe that Ibn Sayyad in Medina, a magician in Medina, is the Dajjal. So you have this controversy. There are companions of the Prophet ﷺ who keep believing in Ibn Sayyad to be the Dajjal. What does that mean? They all believe that the Dajjal is human being. But the question amongst them is either he's Ibn Sayyad or somebody who will come afterward. Live with people for 40 days. The first day is just like a year, the second day is like a month, the third day is like a week, the fourth day, and the rest of the days just like our own normal days. Everything is going to be strange in those days. Things are going against the norm. You ask the smart to send down rain into the earth to bring the treasure, bring it out. So the fitna with Dajjal is so great. And he does a lot of things which you know only Allah SWT can do them. Who gave him the power for them? Allah SWT to test people, and in those days also there is no concession. You know, if somebody puts a gun on your head and tells you, say words of kufr, to save your life you can say. But in the time of Dajjal, no. If Dajjal tells you, believe in me, you just have to tell him, no. You cannot say, I have Iman inside. So I just want you to understand how great is the fitna during the time of Dajjal. May Allah SWT protect us. So if Dajjal comes, what will be the protection? The first protection is your righteousness. Alright, we should understand this properly. The first protection you have is your righteousness. The righteous people, bi-idhnillah, as long as they follow the rules and what is mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, they will not be in trouble. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, if Dajjal comes and I'm still alive, he said, don't worry, I will deal with Dajjal. I will deal with him. But if Dajjal comes while I'm not alive, then everyone should take care of himself. But Allah SWT will be my wakil upon all of the believers. Good ones, of course. Do you get it? So now where's the Prophet ﷺ? Went back to Allah SWT. What does that mean? You have to take care of yourself. How is that? Be a good Muslim. Then you would get the support from Allah SWT when the Dajjal comes. You would never get distracted with Allah. So that's clear. That's the first protection if it happens that the person will be there. The second protection is to make dua. Allah wanted to protect you from its evil. From now, we don't know whether we will live, inshallah, we will not see that moment. Bismillah ta'ala. Allah SWT grant us success in this life and also firdaus in the hereafter. But if it happens that you're going to see that, one of the best way of protecting yourself is to start asking Allah SWT to protect you from His evil from now. How is that? Don't you ever pray to Allah SWT and you don't make this dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab jahannam, wa min adhab al-qabr, wa min fitnat al-mahya wal-mamat, wa min fitnat al-masih ad-dajjal. And you know, by the way, if this dua is accepted by Allah SWT for you, you succeed. Because look at the dua. It says, Allah protect me from Jahannam. If Allah protect you from Jahannam, what does that mean? You will never go to Jahannam. If you don't go to Jahannam, where do you go? Jannah automatically. There is no any other place. Right? If the first part is accepted, you succeed. Adab Jahannam, wa min adab al-qabr. And also the punishment in the grave. Right? Prophet said, وَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ أَنَّكُمْ تُفْتَنُونَ فِي قُبُورِكُمْ مِثْلَ أَوْ أَشَدَّ مِنْ فِتْنَةِ الْمَسِيحِ الدَّجَّالِ. And I got the divine revelation from Allah that you will be tested in your grave similar or greater than the test of the Dajjal. Don't forget, we said there is no test which is similar to the Dajjal in this life, right? When you go to the hereafter, the Prophet ﷺ said the test in the grave, before you even move to the hereafter itself, you will be tested similar or greater than the test of the Dajjal. What kind of test is that then? How long is it going to take? Most likely a few minutes. But that was the what do you call, the stage where your final destination will be determined. It's a very critical moment. أول منزل من منازل الآخرة. The Prophet ﷺ said, the first stage of the stages of Akhirah is qabr. Whoever passes the test in the grave, then فَمَا بَعْدَهُ أَيْسَرُ مِنْ الْكُفْرِ. What comes after that is very simple. That's why in some of our hadiths of the grave, the Prophet ﷺ says, تِلْكَ آخِرُ فِتْنَةِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. There's a last fitna that the mu'min is going to see in his life. That means what comes, Allah is going to take care of it. You will never be disturbed. You get it? So you ask Allah to protect you from the punishment of the grave. I just want you to feel the importance of that. So that don't come and pray with the people express, right? Seriously, sometimes it's like touch and go. The Imam just goes like that. You'll be surprised, did he even finish the tashahhud or not yet? Wallahi, may Allah SWT guide us to truth, but some of the Imam, if you realize, even the Fatiha is not even yet completed. How do I make this conclusion? Because if you pray next to some of the Imam, you will see what? The Imam is going slowly, you can see that the Fatiha is not completed. Completed on the way going to Ruku. Where are you going? Allah guide us to truth. So this is the second thing you are asking Allah SWT to protect you. And the woman fitnat al-mahya wal-mamat. And Allah SWT to protect you from the fitna of life. Allahu Akbar. You know the fitna of life nowadays, right? You read the news, you do all of these things, you protect it. I was just telling Muhammad is better. No need to listen to politics and what is going on in the world. Is better to cancel that. Yes, Abdurrahman? We all agree, just cancel that. La tasaluna shay'in tubdalakum tasukum. That's life nowadays. Fitnat al-mahya. And this is apart from the calamities that are taking place from time to time in your life. You and the family, you and the relatives, you and this and that. You know, life is not easy. Seriously, life is not easy. If Allah protects you from the fitna of al-haya, you succeed. You're going to have an easy life in this dunya. One moment. And the fitna when it comes to your last minutes on earth. And even that's the last chance shaitan has. So that the stress from the shayateen is too much. Imagine if Allah SWT is going to neglect you at that moment. It's the last minute you're living this life, because after you die, shaitan cannot do anything. He knows that. So that the fightings and the battles are going to be too much in that moment. But for the believers, inshallah, they will never face this. Allah will send angels, as He says in Surah Fussilat, angels to protect you and your iman until you die. نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون نزلا من غفور رحيم. Allah SWT make us among them. Amen. I just want you, as I said, to feel, get the importance of that dua. And then lastly, you're asking about what? وَمِن فِتْنَةِ الْمَسِيحِ الدَّجَّالِ. And ya Allah, protect me from the fitnat al-Masih al-Dajjal. That's why they say some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, witnessed the time, the moment, some of the time, they witnessed the moment that one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, his child prayed, and he asked him, did you read this dua? He said, no. He said, go and do it again. It's very important, very important, very important. Think about the future. Get it? So take the advice of the Prophet ﷺ seriously. So that's another protection. One of the protection is what? To memorize the first 10 ayat of Surah Al-Kahf, or the last 10 days. Controversy among the scholars. In this type of issues, you should go away from what? Khilaf. Memorize both. Honestly speaking, why do you put your iman, your test into? Memorize both. If one of them doesn't work, go to the other one. It's better than you knowing that the other ijtihad is right and your ijtihad is wrong when the Dajjal comes in. And if you take my advice, I say what? Memorize Surah Al-Kahf. Become really hard. Every Friday we read Surah Al-Kahf. I can memorize it. If somebody will ask me, I will tell him, instead of reading the Kahf, every day memorize some part of it. Don't read, but just memorize some part of it. A day will come, you finish the whole surah. That's better than only reading every day. So it's hikmah. Get it? Hikmah. They have a program in Indonesia. They said this program is designed to accommodate the need of the workers. They memorize every day one ayah. 6 years, you finish the program. Slowly. And now if you tell the student memorize only one ayah, it's too little. Then ask him after 2 years, where are you? Allah is still. So yeah, but if you take it gradually and you are patient, you have this ulul himma, bi'iznillah ta'ala, a day will come, it will reach. So this is an indirect message to those people who are not yet memorizing the Quran. Okay, I don't want to embarrass myself, otherwise I will ask, how many finished the Quran in this masjid? I want to come out with 1 or 2. خليها مستورة إن شاء الله. But if you take my advice, start from now. Every day take 1 ayah. Wallahi, if 1 ayah is difficult, every day take half or 1 line. Every day one. Every day memorize 1 line. But just make sure that this line is not going from you. And this Quran is Sahih Ahad. As long as you memorize it properly, it will not go away properly. But if you do this memorization that we call thaqafa amma, get it? There are some people, whatever you quote from the Quran, they can tell you where it is. This is the memorization nowadays. That's why in the Taraweeh you see, how do we have the Taraweeh? Nowadays in some masajid, mashallah, they have one huge Quran like this. And the Imam open. Seriously, you see the Imam open it. Yahi, bring somebody else. Why do you can't? And who cannot do this? Do you get an idea? Who can do this? And I believe in some masajid, among those people who are praying behind the Imam, you have some people who recite better than him. If we're going to open, why do we need to bring Hafiz then? And nowadays we have smartphones also. Which is for reading. This is our Hufaz nowadays, right? And you have in the past, you have people who are not like that, right? They don't memorize like this, I'm telling you. They will tell you a lot of ai somebody, throughout years, we're not talking about 1 year, years, they never fix his recitation, not even once. Which Imam is like that? So that's a message also to the Hufaz and those who are joining the team, inshallah. Memorize, don't read, but memorize. Don't just read and claim that you memorize the Quran. No, it's not like that. Otherwise your life will be spent on revision of the Quran every day, trying to catch here, and there. And wallahi, if you memorize it properly, I'm telling you, if you stay for long without reading Quran, of course for a reason and justification, if you come back to it, inshallah you find it in the way it is. But if you don't memorize it at the beginning, you will come and find nothing. May Allah SWT grant us good. So memorization of some part of Surah Al-Kahf, the first 10 ayat or the last 10 ayat of Surah Al-Kahf also helps in this regard, inshallah. One of the means of protection, the Prophet ﷺ said to stay away from him. Man sami'a bid-dajjal falyanha anhu, the Prophet ﷺ. Whoever hears about Dajjal, he should stay away from him. Right? Why is that? Because he has a lot of shubha. Prophet ﷺ mentioned that a believer, good believer will come, thinking that he can confront the Dajjal, but he will lose his iman because of the shubha he's going to see. So what does that mean? Just don't go. And that is also a lesson I learned from this, that any place which Allah SWT is disobeyed in that place, and any place that you know disobedience is going, don't go. You get it? Don't test your iman. Many people try and they never come back. Just like the politics, right? Any of our good brothers, we will go and join the politics. No, we want to fix things. Okay, go. But then after that, they become worse than the people inside actually. So I look at these things, get it? Like the Dajjal issue. How many people you know get involved in these issues of sisters and evil relationship and they go out of it peacefully? Either none or little. Well, it is like the Dajjal. It's very sensitive. It gets very attractive. It's not easy for you to quit. So the best is what? Don't go. So this is the message, the principle that should be applied not only when the Dajjal comes, but starting from now. Places where you know your iman might be shaky, don't go to that place. Is that clear? Websites, nowadays internet. Don't browse anything that you're not sure about it. And don't go to the evil websites to check what they do. Don't do that. Wallahi, because your heart is not in your hand. You get it? You don't know. How many people try like that and then they never come out of it? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides the truth, but this is a very excellent principle that we have to keep on applying in our life. Wherever doubt exists, stay away from it. Stay away from it. And alhamdulillah, nowadays, I don't think we have excuse. How many websites you have that are good? Infinity number of websites. But you know, وَالنَّفْسُ دَائِمًا تَشْتَاقُ إِلَى الْوَحْدِ. And it is human nature. You can tell a person, all of these things are yours. Only this. He will start thinking 1,000 times why this is not. He just wants to see. He has all thousands of things, but he just wants to see how does this one look like. This is nafs. Right? Otherwise, all of these games that nowadays people are arguing, how come you make the religion so strict? Yeah, ask him how many games that are halal in Islam. Millions of games. How many games are haram in Islam? He will tell you this one. Okay, the second one, I forgot. Seriously, but this is nafs. Out of all of those, and I'm telling you, wallahi, sometimes you can see, even to him also, the other games which are halal, there are a lot of games which are way better than this. But shaitan will make this one beautiful, so fancy in front of his eyes. Here comes the test. That's why when Jibreel saw hell, what was his comment first? He says, nobody will go to hell. And then Allah SWT told him, okay, go see again. He went. When he saw it again, what was the comment? I'm afraid that everyone is going. Why is that? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Hujibatun naru bishahawat. Those desires that lust, Allah SWT cover hell with it. So the person will keep on chasing them one after another. If he's not careful, you end up going to this place where the other will love. Get it? I don't say you don't enjoy dunya, but we have to be realistic. Wallahi, the good things in this life are more than the evil, but shaitan is beautifying the evil to our eyes. If a person restricts himself with the halal one, he enjoys life. Those fancy cars that we see these people getting them, is it haram for a Muslim to use them? No. If he desires to use it, no. But what is it haram? The way you got it. You have two people here. Somebody got it from the bank, which is ribawi, and the other person saved money and got it gradually, either by installment through an individual, one transaction, not involving any riba in it. And two people. One of them engaged in the riba to get it, and it is haram. And the other one engaged in the halal transaction, they got the same thing. And it's okay. They're both enjoying the dunya. This one is praised by Allah and this one is blamed by Allah. This is dunya. The vast majority of things you see nowadays people are enjoying, which scholars are talking about, they're all halal. But how to get through them? You get those people who have an illegal, unable relationship with the sisters. Is it halal to have a relationship with the sisters? Yes, if she is not your wife. But Allah opens the door of what? Marriage. And you can see, the Muslim, let me just address the Muslim alone. What kind of, if he tried to manage and to protect his iman, what does he do when he has a relationship with a sister? Sit down, say salam, shake hands. Maybe if they go beyond the limit, kiss, right? And that's it, right? And some of them, they don't go with that. They don't go through that. They just talk, and come and see each other, trying to understand. That's what they say. They're trying to understand each other. All of these things are fitting. Some of them, they cannot pass. They become worse than everyone in the, academic progress in the universities and schools. We have seen this. experience from people. But if they are to make it halal, if they are to make it halal, you can see that life, right? He doesn't want people to see him always nervous, and then he has to do it in secret, he has to hide, he has to do this and that, and whatever you talk, he thinks you're going to talk about that issue. Right? His life is messy. But if he married, what is it haram in that? He can do everything he wishes, right? That's halal. Not only that, he is doing that which he is doing and he gets reward. In that, the Prophet ﷺ, he told them, he said, well, even if one of you cast his water into the private part, akramakumullah, of his wife, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will count that as a charity for him. Imagine a life like this. You look at your wife, charity. You get reward for that. He looks at that woman, he goes, what? Sin. Shake her hand, sin. Talk to her unnecessarily to enjoy, sin. Go with her, what do you call it, jalan-jalan, or what? I forgot what they call it. But you go with her around, sin. But look at the opposite. Talk to your wife, reward. Look at her, reward. Touch her, reward. Have a relationship with her, reward. What kind of life is this here? You enjoy everything, but then you get reward also for that. Which one is better according to the akal? Of course the second one. But which one is more enjoyable to them? The first one. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing people also with diseases. Get it? You got it in the right way, you'll be protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You got it in the wrong way, you'll be tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What? Lack of comfort in life. Lack of peace in life. And also at the same time, also you don't relax. When you see people, you have this doubt. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our shabab. Bring them to the right way. So one of the ways to get protected from the Dajjal is to stay away from him. And I use this also to address this issue. Anything that is un-Islamic, wallahi, I advise you to stay away from it. Live in a state of peace. Don't test your iman. One of the scholars was making a parable, and I like it so much. He says, nobody goes to the highway and stand there and say, let me test my life, whether they will hit me or not. He doesn't do that. But we always do that. Do what? We test our iman. So be realistic. Know that your heart is not in your hand. Don't you ever put yourself in a place where you know you might not pass the test. The last thing I will mention as a protection from the evil of the Dajjal is getting into Makkah or Medina. Get it? That's why living in that place is nice. But Makkah or Medina. You live in Jeddah, get it? You live in Jeddah or you live in any other place, they're all good places, but the Prophet ﷺ said Makkah or Medina. So if that place expanded, it's still called Makkah or Medina, inshallah, it's still included. But you live in any other place in Saudi Arabia, the place is not included. The protection is only in those two places. The Dajjal will reach a place closer to Medina. You get an idea? He will stop in that place, but the angel will take him back. And the Medina and Makkah, they will shake. Any munafiq or kafir that is living in that place has to go out. Has to go out. So technically the good ones will remain in Makkah or Medina. So if the Dajjal comes, la qaddar Allah, and you are still there, and you're next to Makkah, just jump inside and say, Inna hahuna qaidun. Don't you ever go out. Stay there, and inshallah, in those days, inshallah, there will be no visa, no iqama, no anything. You get it? Because even the one who will take you out will be afraid. Right? Because you do have a right to stay in that place. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you. So this is Dajjal. He will come and destroy that which was done by Imam al-Mahdi. Before Dajjal is killed, the next sign will come, which is Isa alayhi salam. The time of Isa, it's very excellent time. Isa, the first job is to kill Dajjal. Get it? He will kill Dajjal. And life is going to be so excellent, pretty in time of Isa alayhi salam. Even the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, in some part of his life, you will see the one small animal is sufficient to many people. One piece of apple, get it, could suffice a lot of people. The barakah will come back, and the peace will come back. Very excellent days. The peace will come back, and the barakah will come back. So you come and see kids are playing with hayat and snakes. and the animals. And the wolf are playing with the sheep. Very excellent days. So his first job is to kill the Dajjal. He will kill the Dajjal. And Mahdi is still there, also according to the Nusus of Sharia. Get it? And also, Wallahu A'lam, somebody says Isa is one of the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But if you look at the Nusus, we can't say that. Because he himself, he told Imam al-Mahdi when he was about to be the Imam, and then Isa alayhi salam comes, and then when they see him, they will say, Ja al-Faraj, the Imam will come back, and they would say, of course, this is the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the Ulul Azm. How can you lead him in the prayer? Get it? Adam. And then he will say, no, you, the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nobody can go before you. What does that mean? He's not part of the Ummah of Muhammad. Unless if you're going to say that, later when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell him, you are also one of them. But we don't get this, so we cannot confirm that. Do you get the idea? We don't get it from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which keep it the way it is. Isa is among the previous nation, but his life is not yet finished. That's why he come to just complete that wish. And if you say he is one of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a lot of questions will come also. Because he's still a prophet. How can the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam be the prophet after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying La Nabiyya ba'da? So we have to just keep it the way it is. He's part of the previous nation. He just come to complete the life which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed for him. Before he dies, Ya'juj wa Ma'juj will come. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell him, I brought out some of my creations and nobody, la yadani li ahadi, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say there is nobody who has power to fight them. They will go to a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed for him. They will be protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that place. Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. Another issue also that is messed up by those people. They tell you the scientists have gone through every place on earth. Who believes in that? I don't think even the scientists believe in that. That they have seen every place on earth. But somebody says they have known every place on earth. And they never come across Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. What does that mean? This hadith is fake. It's khuraf. And somebody told me, how is it possible that people of this size, so huge, so big, the amount, how is it possible but nobody ever saw them in his life? We say, well, when it comes to the sign of the Day of Judgment, we have to believe in one principle which says this is part of the ghaib. And when it comes to ghaib, we just believe in that which we are told. Others, we leave them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you get it? We believe they exist in that amount, in that size and that population. We believe. Where are they? The place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept them. Are they under the earth? Possible. Wallahu alam. Because in some of the narrations, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said they will be trying to open the place until the time they start seeing the light of the sun. If you don't take it metaphorically, then that means it is literal. They are not seeing the sun. Don't give me some parable. How did it exist? How did it survive? No sun, no this, no that. I'm telling him the one who grants you energy when you take from the sun, he has the power also to give you that before. I mean, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. And if I believe in the Sharia correctly and I give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my whole trust, that I don't know anything except that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told me, I'm telling you, we will live in the state of peace. We'll never reject anything mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But unfortunately, we're not like that. We say something today which contradicts the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And day after day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let us see that yes, only that which He says exists. But still, we will come and mention another assumption also. These are our scientists nowadays. Or to say the Muslim scientists. Some of them. So Ya'juj wa Ma'juj are there. It looks like they're in a place which is locked. It's not like a place where when you go to the aeroplane, you see them there. Do you get an idea? So they will come out. And there are many, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the size, because if you look at the hadith of Adam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, Ya Adam, akhrij ba'athan nar. Take from your descendants, your children, the one who are going to hell. So, and then Adam will ask him, Ya Allah, who are those who are going to hell? How do I know them? He says, you divide your children, that means all of the human beings, right? You divide them into thousands. Every group contains 1,000 people. Out of those 1,999 will go to hell. Only one will make it to paradise. Auzubillah. This is the time the Prophet ﷺ said, the time the young boy will become grey-headed. I mean, the hair of a young child will become white. يَوْمًا يَجْعَلُ الْوِلْدَانَ شِيبًا. Just information, right? Just a statement makes the hair grey. So what do you think of the physical difficulty and the hardship of the Day of Judgment? So, and then the Prophet ﷺ, he said this, the companions were annoyed because they have to. Who will then make it to paradise if this is the situation, right? Honestly speaking, if this is how it's going to be, then who will then make it to paradise? So they got annoyed. And they were disturbed by that statement because now, how to be that one person? Then the Prophet ﷺ said, no, Abshiru, take the good news from me, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take amongst the human being 999, those 999 first, they will be divided also into thousands. 999, they will be from Yajuj or Majuj, and only one from you. And you should know, you the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in comparison to the other nation, it's just like a cow which is white or black, and there is one hair which is different from the normal color. He said, you are that dot. That means we are the minority of the minority. You get the idea? But still, in the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, how many will go to hell? A'udhu-billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Allah's want to protect. But if you go back to the size of the Yajuj or Majuj, what does that mean? If you take the population of the world, multiplied by what? 999. Then you come up with the size of Yajuj or Majuj. That's why those guys who don't believe in the Sunnah reject it. They said it's a fake, it's a khurafa, it's just a storytelling. A Muslim believes in that. I believe in that, and every good Muslim must believe in this, because the Prophet ﷺ said it. We see them, we don't see them, not everything we see we believe in, right? Ask him, do you exist? He will tell me yes. What is the cause of your existence? Because I have soul. How do you believe you have soul? Did you see it? No, I never saw it. I don't believe in that, then it exists. Go talk to him also like that. We believe in many things, but we don't see them, we accept. But when it comes to the religious things, we turn to be what? Aggressive. No, we have to see it, we have to do this and that. How many things you don't see and you believe in them? Because you have maslahah in it. May Allah SWT guide us. So, don't accept any explanation mentioned by some people concerning the size and the way they look like. Do not get that from the Prophet ﷺ. Get it? Anything mentioned, just keep it aside. What is mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ is that these people, they're very strong. How big are they? We don't know. And they will destroy whatever stands on their way, it has to go. That's what we know. But as far as their size, they are so short, they have big ears, they sleep on one and they make the other one blanket. All of these things, just take it from Israeliyat. Leave it in the way it is. And ask Allah SWT to protect you from that. So that's Yajuj or Majuj. And then Isa will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove them. They will be killed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said when they come out, there is no place where you can put a food except you are going to do it on the flesh of Yajuj or Majuj. You can see how many, he said they cover the earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said they are very quick in moving. So they will die, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will kill them all, and then bring some birds to come and pick them up and throw them wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send them rain, it will cleanse the earth, and then Isa will complete his time, he will die, and then after that, then khalas. No more good thing like those days will come back again. And then we have what? We have the rising of the sun from the west. When it rises from the west, it will block the door of Tawbah. No Tawbah. No in. Nobody can come inside Islam again. Finish. You can see this, the mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Dajjal comes and all of those things comes before the rising of the sun. So that people will still have chance to come back. Those people who are deceived by Dajjal, they follow him, they will have chance to come back. But when the sun rises from the west, no more Tawbah. No more Islam to be accepted. Either you are in or you're already out. Allah says, لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا. On that day, the person who did not believe before this event, his faith will not be accepted by Allah. And when Isa comes, people are going to believe. Because now it's a reality, right? That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, one sujood in that day is better than the dunya and whatsoever in it. Why? Because everyone goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What else you need to convince you that this issue of the Day of Judgment is true? After seeing Isa alayhi salam. And when the sun also rises from the west, people are going to believe. But the Prophet ﷺ said, ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الَّذِي لَا يَنْفَعُ نَفْسًا إِيمَانُهَا لَمْ تَكُنْ آمَنَتْ مِنْ قَبْلُ. Clear inshallah. So when it comes at the evening, according to the mention of the scholars, then the beast will come. The animal. The one that will tell people where exactly are they going. Imagine a life, a person knows he's going to hell. How is that? And it's confirmed. And it will write on his forehead that he is going to hell. So the last three signs, the Prophet ﷺ said, خَصْفٌ بِالْمَشْرِقِ وَخَصْفٌ بِالْمَغْرِبِ وَخَصْفٌ بِالْزِلْزَالِ. There is an earthquake that will happen, or sinking of the earth, that will take place in the east, and one in the west, and the other one in the Arabian Peninsula. And the last one is the fire that will come from Yemen, which will chase people to the Ard al-Sham, Ard al-Mahshar. These are the major signs of the Day of Judgment mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ in brief. When they happen, they have to happen first, then the Day of Judgment will take place. Did we see one of them? No. Right? We did not see one. And we don't hope to see it. Inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and grant us a good life and also a good end. But you have people telling you that the Day of Judgment will happen in some days. Since we're young, they have this prediction. You know that? They told us one day it will happen on Wednesday. Even they missed the choice. So we as a kid, we are just waiting. We are just waiting to see. Even, children, there is no direction. We think this is just something funny that's going to happen. So let's see Day of Judgment on Wednesday. That Wednesday passes. And then 2012, right? In 2012 now 5 years or so later, right? In 2012, they bring this issue that the Day of Judgment is going to happen, the mind, calendar, and all of these things. Me, I don't care about non-Muslim predicting whatever. They say there is no sin after kufr. But what annoys me is the Muslim. You have some Muslim believing in that, asking a question, how is that true or not? I thought this is what they call abjadiyat. Things that are basics in Islam that you don't even ask about them. Even kids, they know that only Allah SWT knows about them. But you have Muslim asking, is it true? Do you get it? And some people, they would tell me, no, they said because this guy, they never make a mistake. What should be the answer? This one is 100% a mistake. And when they realize that they are going to fail because they know, I'm telling you, they know the truth. They are going to fail, they modify a bit. We're just laughing. Even the modification also is wrong, right? So now in 2012, December 2012, finish. Now we are in what? August 2017. Still, not even one sign come. So if we know the sign of the Day of Judgment, I'm telling you, will never pay attention to anything that will tell you the day in which this, event is going to take place. Because nobody knows. The closest person amongst the angels to Allah SWT, according to our knowledge, was Jibreel. Jibreel doesn't know. The closest person to Allah SWT amongst the humankind was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muhammad doesn't know. And then somebody will come and tell you, not even Muslim, tell you that it will happen certain days, and you see some people even asking a question. Get an idea? Even asking a question about that. So that's the Day of Judgment. And to conclude the class for today, the Day of Judgment is a day where everyone is going to receive his right, get it, and also bear the responsibility of his deeds. And we have either Jannah or hell. And hell, you already know, the Prophet ﷺ said it would be brought by angels, and around 70,000 chain or things that are holding it. Each one is held by 70,000 angels. You can see how big is the place. And I don't want to go into a deep mention about hell. I want to scare you, but it is a reality. May Allah SWT to protect us. And don't you ever deceive yourself with the statement that says a Muslim cannot be in hell forever. It is true that a Muslim cannot be in hell forever, but don't you ever let that disturb you and say to yourself, as long as I can come out. No, you don't say that to hell. There is nothing called as long as I can come out. What should exist in your life is what should I do which will take me away from hell and there will be no possibility for me to be there? Get it? Because if the one who touched hell and we see the reaction on the head, I mean the brain is boiling, he just touched. What do you think of somebody who's inside? And the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to know the temperature in hell, he said you have to multiply it by how many? 70? Get it? So if you're going to do that, they said some fire in this dunya reaches, I don't know, maybe there's something beyond that, but what I heard from those the scientists, they said 2,000 degrees. 2,000. The one we use to cook food is around 100 degrees, right? 80 to 100 degrees. And it's enough to boil the water to cook your food and do everything. And you can't put your hand for a second. They have an aeroplane, when it got on fire, they said it reached 2,000 degrees. Multiplied by 70. If 2,000 is the hottest fire here, multiplied by 70, then you come up with the temperature in hell. And then somebody will tell you, as long as. Wallahi, this is the peak of Junub. Get it? So the best decision is, what should I do to stay away from hell? Get it? And to make it to paradise. And paradise, there is nothing like it. I will just leave you with the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and also another statement of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which says about the last person who will go to paradise, he will be given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 10 times of this world. Some scholars said, because some narration says, وَلَكَ مِثْلُ الدُّنْيَا وَعَشْرُ أَمْثَالِهَا. You have like dunya and 10 times of it. That means 11 times of this world. Honestly speaking, you guys in NT college, right? How big is NT? One of the ahfad of UI, right? UI is too big. If you come to NT, you will say, oh, this is dunya, you are in jail. I mean, if you come to UI, UI is too big in comparison to NT college. If NT college is that which I see, if you are to be given this area as a house, how do you feel? So great, right? The king, right? You'll be proud, raising up your head. You think you have everything, right? Some people have these kind of houses. You know, some people, they have like country, Qaria. There's one house here and his family, they live inside. Get it? Imagine if you're going to have a place as big as Nilai. MashaAllah. Get it? It's too big, beyond your comprehension, right? What you do, you will think that you are the king of the world. Imagine you have a place as big as Malaysia. How is it? We're not talking about this Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, whatever country you mention. We're talking about what? The dunya itself. How big is the dunya? Allahu Alam. But imagine Allah SWT is giving you 10 times of dunya, right? And this is the lowest person in paradise. Prophet ﷺ said, I know the person. He said, I know his tribe, I know who he is. He don't mention the name of the person. So inshallah, we're not that person. If you're to be given somebody something like, not this, what? Then you have. He got bigger than dunya. And they're talking about his kingdom around 2,000 years, the length, or more than that. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, it is not easy for the believer to see the last part of his kingdom. We are still talking about the lowest person. And then somebody will sell the akhirah with the dunya. Wallahi, I'm telling you, I don't know how to understand this situation. Somebody will agree to substitute the akhirah with the dunya. What is the dunya? Sickness, illness, annoyance, and all of these things in this dunya. What's so enjoyable in this life? And then we sell the akhirah with what? The dunya. So if this is the first level, and you have on top of it maybe thousands of levels, right? Each and every one of them is like the heavens and the earth, between the heavens and the earth. In terms of size, in terms of enjoyment, in terms of everything. Imagine the one in Firdaus. How is that? Any explanation? I'm telling no, you will lose words actually. You don't know how to explain after that. And if I just know, even this one, if I stop you to explain what exactly he's receiving from Allah SWT, you can't. What do you think of somebody above him? And there we go, until you reach Firdaus. The Prophet ﷺ said, in Jannah, there are things which no eye saw them, and no ears heard of them, and no heart even think of them. What does that mean? Prophet said, he said in Jannah, things that nobody ever saw, they exist in Jannah. And nobody heard of them, right? And Abdullah ibn Abbas says there is nothing in Jannah which is equal to that in dunya except in names. The taste, the size and the type and the nature and the color is all, always different. And imagine a life. For those of you, let me hit your head. Those of you who are living in the university without wives. Those people with wives, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can eat whatever you wish at home. But those people in the canteen, in the university, what do you eat? Rice every day, rice. And it just grows in you, right? Imagine a life, they will understand it more than us, right, Abdurrahman? Imagine a life, every day you have a new, not every day, every second if you wish you have something new. And you have a variety types of food that will be brought to you by those people who are working, either Hurul Ain or the Wuldan Mukhalladuna in paradise. And if they give you something which looks alike, the taste will be automatically different. And you will be questioning them. Just now you brought me this. They will tell you, just taste, check that, taste and see it. And then you will see totally different. MashaAllah. Good idea. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show us, wallahi, these are just mentioned by us. But what is there? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can explain. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. It's just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, just keep quiet, relax, be patient. You don't know what I'm hiding for you of those things that will grant you coolness of an eye and will make you relax. Where do you find them? In paradise. So let's all get motivated by this. This is just Ibrahim trying to explain to you some of those things that exist in paradise. But these are all what within our own capacity, but what is there is far beyond our explanation, greater than that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا.